When most people picture a paranormal event, they imagine something easy to categorize: a glowing light hovering in the night sky, moving in a way that defies conventional aerodynamics. In the mid-20th century, astronomer Dr. J. Allen Hynek served as the lead scientific consultant for Project Blue Book, the United States Air Force's official investigation into these unidentified flying objects. Hynek developed a strict classification system for these reports. He labeled a simple light in the sky as a low strangeness event. The only mystery investigators had to solve in that scenario was the erratic motion of the object itself. But as Hynek dug deeper into the archives, he uncovered a category of reports that the public rarely heard about. In these cases, spotting a strange craft was merely the prologue to an increasingly bizarre sequence of events. He coined the term high strangeness for encounters packed with multiple, logic-defying data points. We are talking about instances where a witness sees a craft, then experiences their car engine dying, missing time, and face-to-face encounters with absurd entities. The sheer volume of bizarre details actively outrages common sense. If we want to understand this phenomenon, we have to stop ignoring these deeply confusing cases. We need to look directly at the reports that make us the most uncomfortable. A high strangeness event rarely begins with a spaceship landing. Instead, the physical environment surrounding the witness simply shuts down. Ufologist Jenny Randles documented this pattern and called it the Oz factor. Witnesses frequently describe an eerie, total silence descending on the area, accompanied by a dreamy sensation of entering a separate space governed by magical rules. When entities finally appear in these altered states, they do not behave like biological astronauts conducting clinical research. They act more like surreal tricksters, playing with the witness's perception of reality. If you examine the historical record, an abduction by a gray alien reads exactly like a medieval tale of being taken by fairies or goblins. Both involve telepathic communication, floating through solid walls, and hours of missing time. Computer scientist Jacques Vallée noticed this exact historical overlap. It led him to abandon the idea that these beings are physical visitors from other planets. Vallée proposed the interdimensional hypothesis. He suggested that an unknown intelligence has always interacted with humanity, but it changes its cultural mask to match whatever we are conditioned to believe in. The entity that appeared as a woodland sprite to a medieval farmer now manifests as an advanced extraterrestrial to a modern observer. It is the exact same phenomenon, perfectly disguised to exploit our current technological expectations. The psychological and physical distortions triggered by these encounters do not vanish when the anomalous craft departs. Researchers have identified a process of cross-pollination. Cases of UFO sightings frequently bleed into intense poltergeist activity, and witnesses often report seeing cryptids, like enormous, impossible animals, during the exact same window of time. The premier geographical example of this multi-layered overlap is Skinwalker Ranch, located in the desolate Uinta Basin of Utah. Investigators there have documented everything from hovering orbs to invisible entities localized in one specific area. The ranch is also famous for producing the hitchhiker effect. When researchers spend time on the property, the poltergeist activity acts like a virus. It follows the witnesses home and begins infecting their families hundreds of miles away. The paranormal does not offer a neat menu of distinct, isolated categories. It operates as a single, tangled ecosystem of anomalies that actively infects the witness's reality. You might wonder how mainstream science reacts to reports containing a chaotic web of flying saucers, goblins, and poltergeists. The short answer is, they ignore them. This chart shows the relationship between scientific acceptance and the strangeness of an event. As the strangeness level increases, acceptance holds steady until it hits a specific limit, plummeting to zero. The historian Renee Haynes called this the boggle threshold, the exact moment a researcher dismisses an event simply because it is too absurd to process. Academics actively enforce this threshold through their methodological filters, discarding highly strange cases from the start. The researcher Charles Fort had a name for this exiled information. He called it damned data, evidence that is systematically thrown out because acknowledging it would threaten the established scientific rules of the era. We need a profound shift in how we approach the unknown. High strangeness should not be treated as a collection of crazy outliers. It is the core, underlying feature of these extraordinary experiences. If humanity actually wants to uncover the true nature of our reality, our scientific institutions have to stop forcing the universe into neat boxes. We must look at the data we have damned and boldly embrace the deep weird.